Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Horse Center. I am not forever. I'm just every now and then, once in a while, Rich, with the greatest magnanimous co-host of all time, Swiss Army Sean. Tonight we have a guest with us, Keivan Serrano. Keivan, how are you tonight?
How you doing, guys? Everything good?
Doing real good, real good. I gotta warn you, you're in a lot of trouble, my friend.
Why is that?
Well, I was getting ready for the show today, and I was on your social sites. I think your Facebook page. There's a beautiful, beautiful young little baby girl on there, and she's got just the most wonderful smile in her eyes, and just a smile on her face. And I was thinking to myself, this man better win a lot of races because he's going to have a hard time telling that beautiful young girl no.
I know it's hard as it is right now. She's got a look that I think she knows she can get away with anything with me, at least for right now. Yeah, I'll bring her on, you guys, so you guys can see her. Yeah, she's doing good. She is gaining weight, growing, very healthy. And yeah, she'll be 2 months here in just a couple weeks.
Unbelievable how fast time flies, right? It probably just feels like yesterday, but not long ago when she was born, right?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. She's been a really good
she's
baby,
she's already working you over, man. Looking you in the eyes, like, all right.
Oh yeah. Since I can't complain. She's been a great baby. She doesn't cry a whole lot. She doesn't keep us up. She doesn't, none of that typical baby stuff you thought about. At least for it's both of our first times, and she's been great. Definitely no complaints.
Well, I can tell you, as a father of a son and a daughter, the daughter being the younger one of the two, there's just no, as a father, you can tell your son, hey, with some profanity, get yours together, right? You just have a whole completely different relationship with your daughter, right?
100%. 100%.
Absolutely. So,
I'm guessing.
Now, aside from your daughter, anything else new in your life?
What can I say? Since the last time I've been on, some good, some bad, some better. Definitely, when we got the news that, we were having, a baby, we came to Arizona because, they provide year-round racing for the most part, where I've had, a decent amount of success. I just win the leading rider at Rio Park this year. So it's been good to me. And then now you guys have, as most people have heard, Arizona's kind of up in the air right now with as to, what racing is going to be like, here in the future, whether that be short term, long term. That's still to be figured out. But I mean, like I said, it's been a roller coaster, being over here. But Arizona's been good to me. Arizona racing's been good to me. So yeah, and I took some time off after the Rio Park season just because, we were here. We didn't want to have to move care and all that stuff, for the baby. So I started working with Renee Miles. You guys had her on a few weeks ago at her farm, Triple Downs Farms. In the meantime, and as for when I'll be getting back in the saddle, I'm hoping sooner than later. That's for sure. Like I said, family was just a big priority at this point. It was our first time doing it all. So I wanted to be able to dedicate as much time as I could. It being being a jockey, being in the racing business, in general, it's pretty time consuming. And I definitely wanted to kind of experience these first few months, and all that jazz. But definitely, the itch is definitely coming back. It's like I tell everybody, it's like a drug. You can say you're over done with it, and it always brings. So, just being the competitor that I am, it's coming back. So, to some capacity, hopefully here soon, we'll have something figured out. Whether that be here in Arizona or not, we'll see what comes down here in the next 2 months.
So in Arizona, I mean, the main track there, or one of the main tracks that used to run a lot, Turf Paradise, that one just closed down because the owner said I had enough of horse racing and that's it. And nobody else wanted to step up and buy the track, or would like the local governments not allow somebody else to buy that track?
I believe I think the current owner of Turf Paradise I don't think he really wanted to sell it to anyone with interest in continuing racing at the facility. Because he got offers, he got offers, that's public record. He got some offers for the track, but he was acting, an absurd amount, for the property, to where it was unviable to make a purchase like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. He doesn't seem to be, that doesn't seem to be his main concern. He says he's retiring and, for family, this or that. But I honestly think, it's been a long time coming, for here in Arizona. And yeah, for Paradise is like kind of the main attraction here in Arizona, uh, being that they run, through the winter. People come here to escape the harsher winter months over there out east, especially northeast. But it's definitely going to take a hit now, definitely with Turf Paradise not running, because Riedo, kind of used to run on a lot of Turf Paradise ship-ins, during their kind of 2 month weekend deal, and then Prescott, it's a nice facility and everything, but when you think about Arizona racing, you think Turf Paradise. So with that not being in the mix, or there being a lot of confusion as to the future of racing here, or at least prevalent, because there's a lot of states that they have your racing and no knocks to them, but they're kind of known as your little state fair, kind of meat deals, and that's what I'm afraid that if they don't figure something out with racing in Arizona in terms of providing something you know competitive, it's going to turn into one of those states, unfortunately. And like I said, and that's neither here nor there whether my future long term is, is being here, or whatever the case is. But I've met a lot of great people. Racing's been good to me here. So, last thing, I kind of hate to see it, that it trickled down to being a little state fair, you know, thing here, a few weeks out of the year. I think they need to figure something out. There's a lot of enthusiastic people, definitely looking for ways to keep, racing prevalent here in Arizona. So it's not for lack of effort. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's a big team behind it. There's a lot of support behind it. Readers, lots of people in general. And most tracks, you have your jockeys that jump from this meet, 5 months later jump to another meet in another state. There's some people here that this is just home to them. You know what I'm saying? So it
Mm-hmm.
goes a lot further than just riding races, winning races. This is home to some people. You know, so have to uproot, to provide your family elsewhere on the fly like that. You know, it's kind of it's a little nerve wracking, to some people. And like I said, I came here to raise my family here because I'm thinking I could ride year round, and then that news comes up, and then we have to think of something on the fly. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what we do.
Our friend Terry Hay, co-host today, not today, on Mondays and Tuesdays at Parks, which would be a good place to think head out east because you got on that Mid Atlantic, all those courses there where you can kind of go year round. But it says, have you thought about relocating to Southern California?
I've always been a risk taker. I've always I've enjoyed seeing new places, riding at different tracks. Some of the best facilities in the states. The questionably some of the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen it all, and but something that's definitely gonna take kind of a step first before I make a decision. Would have to be my family. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I'm definitely open.
1,000%.
I'm open to anything. At this point, as long as it makes sense for my family. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's first and foremost. Um, yeah. Otherwise, again, I would have drugged my pregnant girlfriend with me to God knows how many states during the last few months of pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Which would have been very uncomfortable. But
I'm
no,
sure.
if the right offer comes around, and it's something that I talk over with the family, and we think it's something that would benefit all of us, and like I said, long term is kind of what I'm looking for next step, because the first few years I guess is kind of okay, but once they start getting into school and all that stuff, you got to think about all that. And yeah, and I want to be consistent at one place too. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad of all the places that I've been to and written, and that I've had success at, which that I haven't. But I think a big key in success when you know as a rider is being a consistent face at at a location. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So definitely, like I said, a lot of factors will play into my next step and what I'll be doing. But
Yeah. Now
uh,
you mentioned that a lot of transplants come down from the north. I'm in Chicago. That's pretty cold. Sean's out there in that miserable East Coast that you mentioned.
Well, that's why he wouldn't
Like,
want to come out to the East Coast because he's nice and warm out there. He doesn't want to come out here with all that cold.
he's got like a long sleeve shirt on. It's probably 85 degrees there, and he's cold.
Well, and let me be the first, and then Rich will enhance that since your kids are a lot older. He said when school comes around and stuff, that will be here before you know it. Everybody told me that, and now Blake started kindergarten, and Rich will tell us how Blake will be 18 pretty soon too, right?
Mine are graduating. My daughter graduates from college in May. 2 out of I can't believe it. It's like where did time go? But anyway.
So the other thing you said you were the leading writer at Ryukyu. I can't pronounce it.
It starts with R and ends with O.
Yeah. That's not a track that comes up a lot. So talk about that track and how it plays and all that for our viewers.
yeah, for sure. Ryito, when I first got to to Arizona, I remember the first time I ever heard about Ryito Park. It was at the rail. There was a couple of trainers talking about talking on the rail, and I happened to walk up and someone mentioned, oh, like, hey, tell the trainer, are you gonna send any horses to Ryito? And he was like, and he told me, he's like, what is that, a breakfast burrito? You don't hear about it all that much. It's a tiny little track. It's a it's a 5/8 of a mile bull ring, in Tucson, Arizona, and there's a lot of history at the track because if I'm not mistaken, it is the first place in the United States where quarter horse races were like timed or something. It was a first in a quarter horse racing or something like that. Anyway. So there's a lot of history there. I think this year was their 80th year anniversary. And the reason I decided to come this season for like the full season was because the year previous, I came to Ryito Park shipping in from Turf Paradise, which is about a 2-hour drive, on the weekends. And I think out of 12 races that I rode, like at the very end of the meet at Ryito, maybe the likes like 2.5 weekends or whatever, I rode like 12 races, and like I win 5 of them. 2 of those were stakes, like a whole bunch of them were in the top 3, and I was like, damn, I did pretty good here, shipping in. And I was like, you know what, I want to ride a full season there, and I did. I stayed. I came this year. I stayed in Tucson. I didn't even ship into Turf Paradise. I couldn't tell you what happened at Turf Paradise all year because I ain't go. I would just stuck to my guns. I was there every morning. I was working horses, whatever. But I wanted to be prevalent there. I wanted to kind of make a statement, and that's what we did. I mean, I had a great season. My agent did a great job this year too. It was a lot in a lot of the occasions. I was just I was riding good stock for good people, good trainers, with good owners. I was blessed that this past season. And like I said, I had a baby on the way, so I was very, very motivated. I got to do something. But diapers are expensive, so I definitely I was just blessed. Like I said, I got the chance to work with the kind of the best of the bunch over here, and they trusted me. And I think we gave them a hell of a run. For the 2.5 months that they ran there. It's a great atmosphere too. I mean, I've never seen a little racetrack in kind of the middle of nowhere. Arizona gets so packed, and I'm telling you, to the brim, packed with people all the time that just come to see the horses and have a good time. So tracks like that are always fun to ride at. Regardless if you're doing good or not. The support from the people that come out there, the little kids asking for goggles, and all that kind of stuff. It's very interactive. It's very the management does a great job with them there. They work with the University of Arizona racetrack industry program, so they have interns everywhere learning about every aspect of racing. Whether that be on the backside, whether that be in the jockey's room, in the paddock. Like I said, very well managed facility, and like nobody knows about it. And it's I don't know. Maybe I'm being biased, you know, but it's a fun track.
Sean and I know all about it.
Track.
Right, Sean?
Yeah, it's just true.
Everybody has fun.
Well, you said it's a little bull ring, so the tight turns and the speed play a little bit more favorably.
You know, I kind of think so. You know, I think you just have to use it to your advantage. It takes a little more thinking, I'm guessing, you know, on a bull ring than, you know, a regular mile track. But it's fun. It's a lot more engaging. I find things to happen much quicker. It seems to be, you know, a 5.5 furlong race on a mile track compared to a 5.5 race at Rito Park where you're going around 2 turns. It feels like a mile. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, I don't know. It's different. It's definitely different. But, you know, I'm out there with a great group of riders that they got out here. We're as safe as we can be, you know what I'm saying? And we make it fun. You know, we keep each other engaged too. There's not a moment in there that, you know, when we're in there that, you know, we're trying to outdo each other. I remember all season, it was me, Daniel Aguilar, Mikey Ibar, all of us every day. We'd look up at the charts at the end of the race day and be like, oh, okay, so I was like, I'm still in front by 2. I'm all right for right now. You know what I'm saying? And we keep each other engaged. We keep each other, you know, competitive. So I love the track, but like I said, I'm being a little biased.
So,
Well, talk about that too with the horses. You said the 5.5 furlongs and you're going around twice. So you're doing 2 turns instead of the normal 1 turn.
Right.
So how do the horses respond to that, going that short of a distance?
You know, I think it's just the only thing that is the 2 turns. You know, most of those, you know, sprinters don't have to ever run around 2 turns, and to have to do it at Rito Park, it's kind of like maybe the first couple times, or, you know, whatever. It'll take the horse, you know, a little minute, you know, because the turns you obviously take them a little slower. You know what I'm saying? The stretches are a lot shorter too. The quarter pole, in hindsight, begins midway through the backside, so it's a lot to adjust. You know, especially as a rider. You know, if you're a rider who've never ridden a bull ring before, it's a little confusing, you know, to say the least. I remember this year at Rito Park, we ran a race that it was 1 mile and a 16th, and mind you, on a 5/8 of a mile bull ring that starts in the half-mile chute, almost, kind of, sort of, you know. So you're going around there and you're taking 3 turns. And I remember a buddy of mine, he came in, he shipped in from Turf Paradise, and, you know, me and him are sitting on the front, and we go around the turn the first time, and we're going into the clubhouse turn, and he asked me, Keivan, how many turns do we have left to go? You know, and I should have told him like 3 or 4. That way maybe he'd take back a bit. But yeah, it can be confusing, especially, you know, when it comes to those distances and stuff. But at those tracks, you run a lot of like half-mile races. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So lots of speed balls there. So I'm guessing I'm gonna go with that. Yeah, speed, I guess, is definitely what plays the best at these tracks.
So we at the top mentioned, at least in the promo, you can ask any question you want. So you got one here from Grandma Horse Racing. What hair products do you use?
All right. Actually, not much. This is just, I got out of the shower. I threw some hairspray in my hair, and then I called it a day. You know, that's it. No products, nothing special, no special shampoos, just hairspray. That's
That
it.
just works out. Yeah, my old football coach used to say, you know, it's the man that makes the clothes. It's not the clothes that make the man, right?
That's right. 100%. 100%.
It's the man that makes the product, not the other way around. It says
100%.
Grandma Horse Racing also play. You know, actually, it's popped in my mind too. So maybe it's, you know, in the beginning in the manifestation for you. The Remington Park in Oklahoma, still warm. Come on over there. There's a lot of good racing there. A lot of good trainers over there too. Some big names.
For sure. You know, I think at this point the biggest thing would be, you know, like it did my risks. You know, I took my shots. I think at this point, like I said, being that I have to provide for a family now too, I think the next move that I make would definitely have to be with an agent, you know, that's established, that has business, kind of things like that. You know, not just show up on a whim to a racetrack and, you know, kind of fight through, you know, getting out there, you know, anything like that. So, you know, like I said, that's just one of the big things right now. that wherever it is, it's gonna have to be well thought out, well planned out. Everything has to make sense for everybody, and definitely get back to it.
I think this makes sense right here. Mama's in the house, she says, and you have mama's hair. So
Yeah, definitely.
you think can't say no to that. And Cody DeGate says, this dude can horseback. Keep up the good work, bro.
My man, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Indeed, for sure. So in terms of getting so if someone's watching and you mentioned you want to have someone to come in with a big book. So what would be like, if you had a list of like 3 demands, what are they for an agent that would be interested in bringing you into his, under his wing, so to speak, or her wing for that matter?
Okay. I think my criteria, even though my agent would would tell you I could be a prima donna, but basically it's I need someone that's gonna work for me. Work hard. Number one, have established business. That's very important. That way we come in, with the game plan, and all that stuff. And I think that's just the big one. I don't even think there's 3. It's just that you got to work hard for me, and you got to have established business. Wherever it is that, we're going.
Well, Sean was thinking about becoming an agent, but he doesn't have an established business.
I'm not an established,
but I know he would work hard for you, and he's got a ton of contacts. I mean, if there's anybody more connected in horse racing now than Swiss Army Sean, I would want to know who that is.
I don't know. I keep trying to build. That's all you can do. So another question, a lot of people are commenting. I know one comment about AJ Williams. The first time I saw your name was at Mountaineer, and I know you wanted to discuss this. So you came aboard at Mountaineer and stuff. Can you talk a little bit of what happened at Mountaineer?
Mountaineer. I have a love-hate relationship with Mountaineer. I remember that that's where I came up. Is where I rode my first winter. Kind of where I decided to go learn somewhere where nobody really can see me make my mistakes. You get what I'm saying? That's kind of how I used what my intentions were for Mountaineer. But I got there, and I think my first year there, I won 4 races at that meet. It was terrible. I was very green. I was riding, kind of bad horses, just riding for anybody. And then after that season, the first 2 seasons I was there, that guy that kind of talks before the pre-race show and whatever, that guy every night, he would just talk so bad about me, being a reporter, kind of type of thing. So an analyst or whatever. So I was just all right, I can get it. Be critical, I'm green, that's fine. But that guy was damn mean, you know what I mean? I remember one day I rode a horse for a good friend of mine that had just come in from Florida or something, and morning line, she was the favorite. She looked great on paper. And then I remember I'm getting dressed for the race, and the guy is like, "Oh, the horse to be here is definitely," I forget the horse's name. But the only thing I don't like about this race is that the jockey Keivan Serrano. If this horse gets beat today, it's because of the rider. Blah 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 blah. I was like, Jesus Christ. But after that, I swear, I came out of a different mode of you know what I'm saying? I was like, nah, I gotta do better than myself, So man, I'm telling you that I'd go home, I'd watch videos, I'd do this, I'd take bits here and there from other riders that I liked and wanted to apply to my own riding style, and I'd set goals for myself that, the next year I went in and I was like, well, you know what, this full year I want to win 30. Mind you, I come off a 6-win, season, my first year. So I was 30. I thought that was, a good goal. And I worked very hard to kind of, keep those goals consistent. And like I said, from Mountaineer, I remember I wound up riding in New York and Maryland and all these places, which was it wasn't just a Mountaineer. You know what I'm saying? So. Like I said, I'm appreciative of that, and certainly a lot of the people that I met there. But I think I don't know, maybe the management there or whatever wasn't too fond of me. But the last thing that happened to Mountaineer, because if you Google me, I'll probably be one of the most controversial jockeys in the United States. But Yeah, at Mountaineer, what happened was the kind of like the last and final straw for me. They wanted to do a drug test on me, and I remember it was after like I had like a 3-win day. It was like the eighth race of the last race of the day, the night or whatever. And I was like, yeah, let's go. And I go in there, I tell them, hey, I have my medical, marijuana cards and paperwork and blah blah blah. Like before I test it, I'm telling you, hey, this is what it's gonna pop for. I have all my paperwork in order, everything's in line, just so you have the information. So the next morning at like 9 o'clock in the morning, the stewards call me saying, hey, Keivan, we're gonna suspend you for 30 days. And I was like, no, you're not. Like, what are you talking about? And they said, yeah, because you tested positive for THC. And I was like, I know, I have my information in there for you guys. And they're like, well, bring it to us. And so okay, so I print out everything. Like, and mind you, this was not just like your hoot and holler Google Plus medical card that someone FaceTimes you. No, like I had a medical prescription. Like I had paperwork, for my use. And I bring them all of that. I didn't just bring them a picture of, something you scan at a dispensary. You know what I'm saying? I brought you paperwork, signed by a doctor and everything. And I think the issue at Mountaineer was that I'm a very true guy, true to like I stick to my guns. You know what I mean? And at Mountaineer, there were times where, especially in that last year, they do something, take me down in a race. I wouldn't agree. We'd go back and forth at the movies, things like that. And it got to a point where I thought it was just excessive. I kind of felt like under the microscope all the time. You know what I'm saying? Just because if I'm right, hey, in my opinion, we can agree to disagree. But, I always saw them as kind of like a power trip and all that. So when this all happened and all went down, they actually didn't hand me a suspension because I left. After that, I was so fed up that I quit. And I went back to Puerto Rico, went back to school for a while. I was like over it. And the Blood Horse did, an interview with me. And I will never give them another interview, guys, because they left nothing pertinent that I said in the article. It made me seem like, I don't know, like a troublemaker, that they never put in my side of the story. And so, yeah, they never wound up suspending me because I just left. And yeah, I came back then like a couple months later. Like I said, the itch just came back, and pre-med is hard. It is hard.
I can imagine. I've been through West Virginia. I think I would live the Spicoli lifestyle if I lived in West Virginia too. So it would be no big deal. From Fast Times at Ridgemont High. In any case, well, it's all behind you now, right? It's all water under the bridge, so to speak. And nowadays, you just go on your X account, and you got Cheech and Chong right there offering up gummy bears every other ad. So times have changed since then. I mean, and I don't even search that stuff, and it's showing up in my inbox. Pretty crazy. Maybe they're trying to give me a hint, Sean. What do you think?
There you go. Maybe trying to give everybody a hit.
They got me a video of me on the golf course, just losing my mind. Like, all right, got to get this guy under control. But
here's the good thing too. He mentions Blood Horse. Now, if he has a story, we can do the story, and we can provide all the truth.
We could do some stories too. So John De Silva says, spoke to someone that was talking to your mom. Penn National was mentioned. If they run regular meet this winter, that could be a possibility. But I think he kind of said those cold winters are not really like on his wish list.
Like I've never had a problem with riding winters. Obviously, I don't prefer it. You know what I mean? I obviously don't prefer it, but I'll tell you what, the heat can get brutal too, especially in Arizona. It can get brutal. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, 80 feels like 100 over here sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hot down here. But no, I like I said, I'm ruling nothing out. If the right opportunity comes along and I and my family, talk it over and it's a viable, option, then we'll take it. I can't afford or want to stay, in a state right now. Like I said, where racing is up in limbo, unfortunately. But yeah, definitely open to anything that just makes sense, boys. Just gotta make sense.
So you've been off since like May, right? That's the last month you had was like the end of May.
I believe so. Yeah, I did read. They ended in April. I think they ran like a few county like fairs that some weekends that I went to. Will never go again. But yeah, I believe that was like the end of May ish, probably. Yeah, so I've been off for quite a bit.
So what kind of cabin fever does that give you, like in terms of wanting to get back out there? And two, when you're in the regular routine, in a way, it's a big thing for jockeys, right? Because you have to keep your weight in line. So being away for that long, how hard is it to be mindful of making sure that you're close to weight?
I think that I never get that heavy. I think I get to, like at most about $135 is about the heaviest that I get, which I'm probably close to, if not right at this moment. You know what I mean? But if I know that, let's say something was in the talks and something were to happen. I mean, regardless if it's in a few weeks or if it's in a couple months, I'll just have to make the adjustments at that point to get down to whatever we got to get down to and do what we got to do. Obviously, if I have a couple months, let's say we don't figure anything out until January or so forth, I got a couple months, so then I can kind of ease the body into it. But listen, I've been a heavy guy that's needed to cut 8 in 12 hours, so again, whether it's next week, whether it's in a couple months, we do whatever we got to do, and we get down to it, do what we do.
For sure. Sean, any more from you, my man?
Well, no, I was going to ask, but he answered that on how quick can you turn around. But I guess you kind of answered that. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can turn it around quick. Definitely is not the funnest thing to do. You know what I'm saying? But as a rider, you do whatever you got to do. Especially us that weren't blessed to be, naturally 110 pounds.
Yeah, I can.
Well, is that something we talk about other countries where the weight's a little bit higher? Is that something you think they should do here?
That's what 131 in England, right? I think they were complaining because after COVID it went from 132 to 131, so they were upset with one. I'd imagine here if they said 131 here, everybody would rejoice. What do you think?
I mean, the thing is, it would be a constant cycle. If they were to bump it up to 131 or 132, I probably would never have to pull that much weight. You know what I'm saying? However, if you do that, I may be out of the woods. I may not be, struggling as much as I am. But then you're going to have someone that was 150 that's going to try to get down to, it's going to be a constant cycle. There will always be heavy riders. There will always be riders that have to do a little more, to make weight. And, so it's frustrating sometimes. But I remember a rider once told me, like, I was in the box and I was frustrated. He came and told me, he was like, listen, no one wants it more than someone that got to go what we going through to do it. You know what I'm saying? And that stuck with me, So regardless, like I said, whatever we got to do, we do it. Go execute. You know what I'm saying, boys?
I understand. So from being on the outside now, kind of looking in, are there some things that you've kind of learned when you've had some more time to think about like racing versus being like in that grind day after day after day where it's just a big blur? Now you've got some time to reflect. So are there some things in your mind that have popped in? You're like, oh man, I want to try that when I get back.
I think my goal is I think in my career a lot I've settled sometimes, or I just like winning races. You know what I'm saying? I just like winning races a lot. That's what it boils down to me. But I also want to be competitive, and I felt like sometimes I've gone to places because I think, it'll be less competitive, and I'll just be big fish in a little pond. But I want to go swim with the big fish too. You know what I'm saying? I think I can ride with anybody in the country. Giving merits to everybody that deserves them. But I think a lot of jockeys kind of forget about that. We're riders. And as riders, we should be. In our mindset's got to be, hey, we can go up against anybody that they stick a horse next to on us. And that's kind of the mindset that I have. So kind of not settle, find a good spot. Again, family first. It has to make sense for the family. And quarter horses. I actually started riding quarter horses here in Arizona, and they're fun as heck, bro. They're so much fun. They are fast as what you cannot imagine, like fast. When I'm telling you that this thing breaks and you feel its stomach on the ground every time it strides out, they are fast and so much fun to ride. Would not change it for thoroughbreds. I love my thoroughbreds. I like the tactical side of it. A little more time to think, a little more time to be a rider.
I've heard they're wired differently too. We've had other jockeys on who say like they're nuts, the quarter horses relative to the thoroughbreds.
That was my fear when I first got here to Arizona, because mind you, I was always been an East Coast boy, so I never even saw quarter horse racing. I didn't know that existed. You get what I'm saying? So I get to Arizona and they do quarter horse racing, and I see that and I'm like, I would never. First thing I say when I get here is I would never do that in my life. Like I seen horses flip in there, like how antsy they were, and I was just like, hell no. Like I will never get on one of these things. And the first time I ever got on one was for a friend of mine that her boyfriend, it was a quarter horse jockey, but he had to ride somebody else's horse, and she didn't want to get stuck with someone that was just gonna kind of just give her a little jock mount ride. So I was like, I'll ride the horse for you. I had been trail riding on the horse, so I knew the horse. I thought, I'm like, sure, why not? So he puts me on the horse, and we win the race, man. We just broke in front, and we just win. I was like, I didn't know how I did it. I just know that we win, and like that's about as fast as it comes and goes. Like you blink your eyes and it's over. Like they're fast, bro. They're fast. When you look at the replay, like there was no way that was no 21, 22 seconds. Like there's no way, because it felt like so much faster. It's over in nothing, and adrenaline. I guess that's the only way I could describe that.
You have to hang on tight, I imagine, when the gates open with those relative to the. Because I know with the thoroughbreds, you guys hang on to the hair or something up there in front when it opens. Is it the same process with the quarter horses, or how do you? What's the difference there?
Yeah, with the thoroughbred, like I have like two different riding styles. The way I ride quarter horses and the rider. We're holding on to the mane, and the horse breaks out of the gate, and we kind of let the horse find his stride, find his footing. I'm never the type of rider that's gonna put a horse where I want it to be. I kind of want to feel out where this horse is comfortable, where he wants to be. Like I'm trying to figure out what bothers him, what keeps him relaxed, what keeps him, what amps him up. Especially if I've never been on the horse. It happens a lot. I've never seen the horse in my life. Maybe for a work or two, and have to figure out how to win this race. So yeah, I'll kind of ride them on a long rein, unless they're trying to run off with me or something. If I can get them to be consistent, on a long rein, that way when I pick their head up a little bit, when I'm ready to make them run, I can gauge a little better how much horse I have, as opposed to if I'm fighting with him the entire time. One, that might make a horse more tired, actually, fighting with you, instead of you kind of letting him breeze on at the clip that he's comfortable with. But quarter horses, like I make sure that I'm tied on and like extra tied on, because they're breakers. Like thoroughbreds kind of like hop out and, like I said, take a stride or two to find their cruising speed. A quarter horse leaves running, bro. It just leaves running, like fast as hell, running. Like that first stride, 45 miles an hour. Like that's how fast it feels, like right out of the gate. And it's different, when you break with a quarter horse, you don't want like a loose rein on it, because I guess they run so fast they'll just like tip forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure. So they've always taught me, at least, kind of just you're not with the quarter horse. I guess you don't really push on them. Your hands are kind of there to kind of like support them and hold them, while they just run balls to the walls, bro. Like this is, like that's all you do. So yeah, you kind of just break, kind of get a nice good hold on them, and just yell at them, bro. That's all you got to do, bro. Just yell at them.
And what are you yelling at them? Let's effing, are you yelling? Let's effing go, or what are you yelling at them?
I'm just yelling at them, bro. Any noise that comes out of my mouth, I'm just yelling at them, and they just run fast, man, fast. And then they don't want to stop. To stop a quarter horse,
no, not
it
easy.
still ain't fun.
So, and I noticed this about the quarter horses too. It's like when they come out, I don't know if the left leg's longer than the right leg or what it is, but they all seem to come out and just like they can't run straight. They run cockeyed out of the gates and they all smash into each other. And the one that doesn't smash into anything seems to be the one that wins. So how do you prevent them from like veering off to the right or the left? Are they just looking for contact? They're like Lawrence Taylor.
You know, I guess in quarter horse racing, I'm not an expert, you know, by any means in quarter horse racing or anything like that. But kind of what I've seen, horses when they come out to run, you know, in the quarter horse world, they're amped up. You know, they're ready to go. You know, they train them differently. You know, so when they come to race, they know it's race time, and you know, you're not going very far. So I don't think that the horse is it's all the horse's fault. You know, as a rider, you know, with thoroughbred, something like that happens, you kind of like, you adjust your horse, you know, you make some changes, you pull on the reins, and you try to, you know, fix it. But you have time after that, and the race continues. You know, with quarter horses, I feel like most jockeys just try to get out as fast as they can, get good position, and then if they have to kind of adjust, then adjust. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why all the bumping, not anything malicious. I just think that everybody wants it, you know. So we're all trying hard, and you know, sometimes the horse will veer in, veer out, and in the heat of the moment, you trying to rush a horse out, you might not even can't tell. You know what I mean?
Sure, I think that would be kind of fun anyway. Adds a little element of excitement to you at the beginning. Gives you a little bit of a question mark. If I got to get out of here, right, Sean?
If you and I did it, Rich, we'd be off in the back. We'd still be in the gate.
Dude, I was on a horse that was walking and I could barely sit on it. Imagine one coming out running at 45 miles an hour. Forget that.
And this was right.
I would still be in the starting gate and the horse would be at the finish line.
I'd probably jump off before the gate and be, after that, no, I'm done. So that's what I was going to ask, too. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask, and I think the answer is thoroughbred, but you have so little time in quarter horses, every little move is a jockey more important for thoroughbreds or quarter horses?
I'm not going to say I'm biased here because I'm going to give my logical opinion on this. I like riding quarter horses. I think it's a lot of fun. So there's a lot of adrenaline. I think you have to be more a rider to ride a thoroughbred, however, because I don't know. I feel like you kind of like you have to worry about, you know, your horse running relaxed, your horse running at a certain pace. If you're on a deep closure, you know, you gotta kind of time the pace in front of you. You kind of got to judge you have to be more interactive with not only the horse but the race itself, as opposed to a quarter horse. When I'm on one, I'm just I cannot tell you that I have ever tried to rate a quarter horse. You know what I mean? Never. Like every quarter horse race that I have ridden, regardless of the distance, my main objective is get out and just go. You know, like there's never been much tactic to it. I was never like, I'm going to sit a length off and then come the last 20 yards. Never have I thought that, bro. It's always been like, let's go, let's get out of here. And, you know, I just think that, you know, for thoroughbreds, you have to be a lot more, you have to think a lot more. You have to make more decisions. But I'll tell you what, a quarter horse race, not fit, will tire you out faster than a thoroughbred race.
You have to hang on a little harder, I'm sure. It engages your muscles. No question. All right, Sean, I'm out of questions. How about you?
Well, I'll go. Have there ever been a time, and we can even go with thoroughbreds there, that you weren't quite ready when the gates opened?
Sure. Definitely. There's been times where maybe a horse next to me acts up a little bit, and you're just not prepared, you know, 100%. But I've thankfully I've never been like left in the gate because I wasn't ready. You know, the first thing I do when I get in there is I grab a hold of some mane. So you know, if something were to happen, like if the horse just breaks through the gate, at least I'm on. You know, I never want to be left in there if something like that happens.
Mm-hmm. That would be me 1,000% for sure. Well, we appreciate you joining us again tonight. We look forward to the next time we're together. And I can tell you, when we started the show with you, this is how we're going to end the show. You are absolutely in trouble, my man, because she's going to get everything she wants from you. So you better find a place to go where you meet your objectives. If an agent's got a book, because you're going to need a lot of wins, my man.
100%.
Thanks again for joining us. Congratulations on the baby, and we look forward to getting together again.
For sure. Thank you, guys.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
You too.
Got to do a little prep work there, Sean. Voila. Didn't lose his touch. How about that? Always fun to talk to Keivan. It's good time right there. And it's kind of interesting when you think about the quarter horses and the thoroughbreds and the differences in the riding style. I agree. Just get out and go fast seems like to be the way right there for sure. Blessings from Mom for certain.
Yeah.
Wonderful guest. Thanks again, HR team. Love what you do. Thank you, Grandma. We love you joining us all the time. We appreciate that.
I almost would think it's like the drag strip, though, too. In the drag racers, there is a skill to, make sure you're going as soon as that light turns green. But I think with horses, they're already done. Once those gates open, you don't have to tell it to go. It's going.
Wants to go. Those horses are wired for sure. There's no question about that. They probably put Monster Energy drink in their water or something, because those horses come out and they're all just amped up, ready to go. Unquestionably. Speaking of being amped up and ready to go, you got to be amped up and ready to go next week, Sean, right? Because we're going to introduce some new people to Horse Center starting next week. So tell us a little bit about what's on tap for first week of October.
Well, we don't have the guest yet. We are finalizing that today, but we did announce today that Lucy Hull will be the host here starting next week for every other week when Jamie's not in. Lucy's been with horses. She's dating Tyler Connor. She's a jockey agent. She's done all kinds of stuff. So she knows, horse racing. And I've met her a few times, and everybody will like her. Really easy to get along with, and will fit right in right here. So looking forward to it on Monday. And we have a special show planned Monday, too. I can't quite announce it yet, but if it comes together, it's going to be a really nice show Monday.
I'm going to be your guest.
We'll get Lucy right involved. Huh?
I'm going to be your guest.
You're going to be there? Okay, we could do that.
You said it was going to be a special show. If you're going to be on there. Terry with a great question. I think the best question I've ever gotten in my life. Love your shirt and my hat. I'm all Sean knows the secret of when I'm wearing my hat, and I won't let anybody know what that secret is. But K9, tell me I've done the trifecta. Yeah, he's got to ride the harness for sure. Grandma horse racing, absolutely. He's got to do that. We'll get him on a harness. We'll get him in a harness somewhere along the line. So where can you get a shirt and hat like this? Go over to horseracingtoday.net. And when you're there, let's put in horseracingtoday.net. While you're there, you'll see that there is a HRT gear link. Click on that, and you'll see all the great products over at HRT, including our football stuff. Sean and I are putting our picks out so far. Probably don't want to pay attention to those picks so much yet in the NFL, but we'll catch up there. But you're going to want to pay attention to our picks tomorrow with myself and Charles. We're going to do a little bit of arguing like we've been doing lately. I don't know what it is. Like we're like an old couple bickering with one another. But we're going to do Belmont at Aqueduct tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. I have to say I'm kind of grateful for the bickering because I've been on the right side of those arguments the last few times, thankfully. But that means I'm due for an L. So hopefully we don't have any arguments tomorrow. In there, right?
I wasn't asked who's winning the bickering.
Well, we had one last week. So last week we were talking about on the show at I read a lot of books. I'm trying to commit to reading one book a month at least about handicapping or some area of horse racing, to understand it, to get better and better and better. The goal is to become the number one handicapper in the country for horse racing. Anyway, I don't know how you quantify that, but as long as in my mind that's where I am, that's good enough. But one of the things I was reading in Andrew Breyer's book is that when a horse is off for 5 months, comes back and runs its best speed figure ever, like 9 out of 10 times the next race out, it bounces, right? So Charles had singled up a horse that met that criteria. And in singling up that horse that met that criteria, I told him he was going to lose. And he's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, it's going to lose. It finished last, right? So I was like, yeah, W for me. I didn't care if I won any other race on the day. I had to win that one, right? And then and then today we were talking a little bit about horses that are training for their first race or maybe their second race. And I mentioned when I'm looking at the underneath at the workouts, some benchmarks that I'm looking for to get a sense of a horse that's talented. And I had mentioned, like, if it's a 3 furlong work, I'm looking for a horse that runs a 3 furlong work under 36, like 3 times 12, right? And then if it's working for 4 furlongs, something under 48 seconds. But I had mentioned a horse that's running, did a 5 furlong workout in a minute. Said I would like to have seen it be under a minute, because that's kind of just from looking at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and I've just kind of noticed that pattern pop up over and over and over again. Well, it turns out today he had a horse in the 8th race that I didn't have with a bunch of first-time starters was the 11 horse. And the 11 horse won in his workout, not as the one before he went to the track, but the one before that. So 2 workouts back, 4 furlongs in 47 and 2. Right? So there's that 4 furlong work in under 48 seconds. The horse comes out to the track and wins. Because I have this theory, I can't prove it, other than anecdotally what I see when I'm looking at the data after the fact, is that at some point in the horse's training, the trainer has to figure out, what do I have here, right? What kind of horse do I have? And they tell the jockey or the whoever's riding the horse in the morning on the track on the backside, I want you to let loose today. Let's see what we got. And there's going to be a workout in there somewhere and you have to kind of figure out which one it is. And sometimes it's obvious, like 47 and 2 and 4 furlongs. Sometimes it's not. And I figure that they don't want to do it right before the race. They kind of want to do it back here. And then they don't want to overtrain the horse going into the first race if they feel like they got something. So it's usually maybe 3 or 4 back. Sometimes it's 2 back. And then they let that horse out. And then they find out, oh, I got something here. This horse can run 47 and a half and 4 furlongs. I'm going to give it some good maintenance workouts in there. So I have found that let's let it rip workouts kind of fit in those guidelines. 12 seconds times the number of furlongs, less than that, and you have something. And he was telling me, no, I'm wrong. So I sort of won that, but lost that because he had the 11 horse and I didn't.
Yeah. Well, I like your first point because you would think if they're 5 or 6 months off and you come back your first race and you have your best speed number, you should only improve from there. But honestly, it does make sense because it means the trainer had that horse geared up for that first start, not the second start. If they don't do so well that first start, then that second start they're ready. So the trainer
that's got to have a big number, and then it bounces.
Yeah.
A career best number.
And that's something, and I still really got to learn this, but that's something you almost, and I hear it all the time with the FanDuel TV guys, and they're right. You got to put yourself in the trainer's head on what you're doing with the horse. Like you said about the workouts, where somewhere in there they're going to tell you where the real horse is because they would want to know. You got to put yourself in the
you're a trainer. You have to know what you have.
Yeah, you got to put yourself in the trainer's head and figure out every little move they're doing with the horse and where they want to show the best with the horse and where they're just entering in the horse because they need to run the race, or they'll see what they're doing but might not be primed to go. So it's a lot of figuring out with that.
Usually on those K9 striker, more often than not, they're just breezing works. They're not really getting after it. Every now and then you see the H in there, but I would say 9 out of 10 times you're not going to see the H, and they're not really making that horse rip it up and go.
And the biggest thing with those workouts too is each trainer does it different, like what you're saying too. You got to start figuring out what trainers will actually show you real works and which trainers won't really let their horses go too much.
I think at some point, though, they got to let it rip in there somewhere on the track to get a sense of what they're sitting on, right?
Especially when it's a young horse, yes.
Right.
When you start getting into a horse, you start getting into the horses that run a couple times, they don't necessarily need to. Yeah.
So I'm talking specifically about horses that are maybe making their second start or their first start. And you really, as a handicapper or as a horse player, you're trying to figure out just off of workouts which horse you're going to play, right? Because everybody's going to go, okay, Irad's on that horse, I want Irad, right? Or Chad Brown's training that horse, Bob Baffert's training that horse, feeding that horse the good hay, whatever's going on. Everybody knows that data. It's in front of you. It's trying to decipher something in the workouts that gives you maybe an advantage over the other players where you can hit a horse at 5, 6, 7 to 1, where maybe you find a good one in there that's like 20 to 1 that has some really good workouts that could come home for you at a price. And if you dig through those workouts, I like to look maybe 3, 4 back and see if there's a couple really quick ones in there in a row, and then the trainer kind of gears it down because he knows, okay, I know what I have. I know where this horse fits. I'm going to stick him in his race over here because I think I got a good shot to win. So that's what we were talking about today. We'll find out what we argue about tomorrow at Belmont at Aqueduct. And then on Friday, Thomas and I will get together for Foreign Fridays for Paris à Longchamp, as Tom would say it. They have a big weekend of racing out there, so a lot of money to be made in France, but not a lot of information to work off of when you look at the French past performances. So it's really raw handicapping, like when you're first learning, and then you're trying to get a feel, a little intuition as well.
I think I'll be covering that, actually. That's Saturday morning, right?
Saturday and Sunday, yeah. Big races, yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Should be a lot of fun. I always have fun with Tom doing the international stuff. I like to look back because there's always bombs that seem to hit overseas, and you want to see if you got any of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that wraps it up. I want to say real quick thank you to, let's see, we got a bunch of, to Nancy Forsyth, Kay Applegate, Hussein Vasquez, Ruben Hernandez Cruz, Bobby Hilton, Julie Ramji. Julie, how are you? Hope things are all well with you. Barbara Mraz, mom of Keivan there. Juan Gonzalez, Steve Goodrich, Philip Perkins, D.S. Thomas, Beverly Taylor, Rebecca Paula Rhodes, everybody who's given us a thumbs up and a like and a love on Facebook. We greatly appreciate that. Helps us with their algorithms. And same thing on YouTube. Unfortunately, they don't share the names of the people who give you a thumbs up. Otherwise, we would give you a shout out as well. Another way you can help out is if you like what you see on our YouTube channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the bell. Follow all the great work Sean does down there on the social sites below. We had a little discussion of something today pre-show that we hope we'll be able to put out soon. We think you'll enjoy that a lot on our social sites. But on YouTube, if you can kindly hit the share button, copy that link and share it with your friends and family and horse racing fans, whether it's our picks or our Horse Center shows on your social sites. Help us get to 10,000 subscribers. We would greatly appreciate that. Anything else, Sean?
No, exactly what you said. You summed it up great. I mean, and the overwhelming responses to people that want to help out, too. We appreciate it. Anytime anybody wants to help out with content or they have an idea for shows, just come to us and we'll talk about it and we'll build this thing together.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to do a show, reach out to Sean, reach out to me. We have, I mean, I don't know, what do we have about? I think we reach, I mean, on Facebook, you're reaching over 1 million engagements a month now, right?
We did last month. It depends on the month. You know, it depends on what's going on and what we're posting, but it can reach up to 1 million, yes.
So, I mean, there will be exposure. Obviously, folks that are following us are well aware of where kind of some of the doors that it's open for. Jamie, right? Jamie's had some good stuff happen coming off of there. She got to do a wonderful job. I saw some of that at Woodbine. I think she did a fantastic job, and I would suspect that she's probably going to get some more offers off of her performance there because she did great. And obviously, if it's a launching pad, we're happy to help people take that step forward. If you got some ideas, some content you want to create, let us know. We greatly would appreciate it. And we're rambling on too much now, Sean, so we should wrap it up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But if you're ever at the track and you see something cool, too, take pictures, take videos, send it our way. We'll post it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And, of course, unlike other folks, we'll make sure you get credit for it, right? So we'll say compliments of Grandma Horse Racing, compliments of K9. We'll make sure you get the credit, and we'll go ahead and link right back to your social sites as well. All right, Sean, that wraps it up for this hump day. I forgot what day it was. And looking forward to Ramble On, brother. Yes, we are rambling on. We look forward to getting back together tomorrow for horse racing picks. And, of course, we welcome Lucy. We know that you all take great care of her when she shows up here on Monday with Sean. Should be another fantastic show. But until we get back together again, as someone said, we certainly hope God rains their blessings on you for the rest of this day, and that everything you do until we meet again ends up in
the winner's circle.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, and have a fantastic evening, everybody. And I got to press the right button, Sean.